Alrighty. Friends, this is the walkthrough video for Wednesday. It is April 16th and try 3, week 8. And today we are going to try a question from the 2024 APBio exam. I don't grade AP exams every year, but I did grade a question from this exam that you'll see later. It's not this one, but I want to give you some of the short FRQs as examples of what you can expect, the most recent ones. So let me tell you a story. The common wild oat is native to regions of Europe and Asia, but is an invasive species in Central California grasslands. In California, the common wild oat has almost completely replaced some species of native bunch grass. Researchers found that aphids, a type of small insect that often carries plant viruses, have a much higher reproductive rate in grasslands that include the common wild oat than in grasslands composed only of native bunch grass species. Additionally, the viruses carried by the aphids appear to affect only the native bunch grasses and not the common wild oat. Native bunch grasses infected by the virus have much higher death rates than do native bunch grasses that are not infected. So because you are absent, folks who were here kind of talked through their answers to generate that language. But if you weren't here, you should pause the video after I read the tasks and actually do it. So it says A, describe the change in resilience of an ecosystem when there is a decrease in the number of species. I'm going to show you the answers in a minute. So pause and answer A. B, explain how the addition of the common wild oat affects the number of native bunch grass plants that can be supported by the California grasslands ecosystem. Pause the video and answer the question. C, researchers suggest adding ladybugs, predators of aphids, to the California grasslands. Predict the effect of adding ladybugs on the abundance of the native bunchgrass population, and then justify your prediction in part C. So go ahead and pause the video and do those tasks. All right, let me show you the answers. So when you're asked to describe the change in the resilience of the ecosystem, when there's a decrease in number of species, we know the resilience of the ecosystem will decrease. And it's because if one species, if there aren't a whole bunch of species that are playing a specific role, if one dies out or is wiped out, then you're not going to get the same ability to bounce back or to be able to do that function, I should say. So that's the description. Something about decreasing. Explain how the addition of the common wild oat affects the number of native bunchgrass plants that could be supported by the California grasslands ecosystem. One of the following. Either you wrote the addition of the wild oat limits the resources available to the native plants, which results in a decrease in the population size, I should say. The other one that you could say is when you add wild oat to ecosystems, you enable the aphid population to increase. Or you could say when you do that, you expose the population to viruses, and that results in a decrease in the population size of the native bunchgrass. So one of those two answers, those are correct. C is asking, it says, what if you had ladybugs, predators of aphids? What are you going to do there? What's the prediction? The native bunchgrass population will increase in abundance. There'll be more of them. Well, why? Because you're going to decrease the number of aphids, and that's going to cause a decrease in the infection by plant viruses of the bunchgrass, or you'll say it'll cause a decrease in the transmission of plant viruses. So either of those, but it's underlined because you have to be able to say those ideas. You have to say about infection rate in some way. So cool. That was not cool. Don't worry. We're doing a lot of practice and you're not expected to get a full credit paper. So, all right, ready? What are we going to do? We're going to do the stickleback assignment. So same kind of story. Today, we're going to do part 3. Hopefully all groups finished part 2 last time. Part 3 is a modeling exercise. So if you're absent, you should try to sketch part 3 out and bring it to me during Panther Plus so I can coach you before you do your final submission digitally. It's just going to be a lot easier. And then here's our cool down for today. If you need, I don't know why there's not a parenthesis at the tail end of that. That's irritating. I find that irritating. Why does PIDX1 protein appear in the jaw of freshwater stickleback during embryonic development, but not in the pelvis? This is like the big story of this work. So I'd like you to write 1 or 2 great, complete, explain all the way kinds of sentences. So, all right, that's it for me. I hope you're doing well. See you soon. Bye.